Across the Park podcast is proud to be sponsored by Globe Gas and Heating. For the best kitchen and bathroom renovations, boiler servicing and repair, and central and underfloor heating in the Northwest, head over to globecentralheating.com and quote Across the Park for a free quote.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Across the Park podcast, and thank God that international break is over. We are back, and we are back as always with the opposition preview. And again, glad to welcome back the good friends of the show, Justin from Up the Villa. How are you doing, Justin?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I was just watching that intro thinking I've really got to get my bathroom sorted, so I'm not giving a ring, to be honest.
You know where to go. I mean, it does say the Northwest, but I'm pretty sure he'll make an exception for you, Justin.
Okay, good lad. Discount as well, yeah. Thanks for
on that note, actually, just for again the viewers and listeners, Globe have been our long-term sponsors. It's always great to hear from some of our followers, subscribers, to say, oh yeah, we got them in. They switched our boiler, so we had a couple of messages this week. So it's always nice to know that even though we've got we get some sponsorship and some support from Globe, that he's also helping you guys out. So great to hear. Anyway, time to football.
You're putting the hard sell on me now, aren't you? That's what you're trying to do.
That's it, mate. That's it. Exactly. I'll make sure he's in charge of the mileage. So anyway, Justin, as seems to have been the case the last few times that we've spoken, we're at complete opposite ends of the spectrum, unfortunately. And please don't rub the salt into the wounds too much. You want to keep this focused on Villa as much as we can. I guess we'll start with, because I don't think we certainly haven't spoke since you formally qualified for the Champions League. How does it feel? Obviously, it's Tuesday night. Is it your first game against Young Boys?
Yeah, next week, Young Boys away. Yeah, Switzerland. Incredible, absolutely incredible. You know, I'm 48 now, so the last time, we won the European Cup in 82. And I was a bit too young, to be fair. I was only sort of 5. And I wasn't really aware of football at that time, like I am now. But ever since that day, it has dominated our football club for the whole time. All we talk about, and we get a bit of stick for it. European champions, European champions. But I think when you achieve that, there's nothing else to shout about. It's the pinnacle of club football in Europe. It's the highest accolade you can win, and the fact we won it was just an incredible achievement. So. I genuinely, my whole lifetime, probably, especially since the advent of the Premier League and the money and everything, I thought it was just too far out of our reach, especially over the last sort of 10, 15, 20 years with our decline and relegation. So the fact we've achieved what we have in the very small amount of time that the owners have been here, and especially Unai Emery, it's just incredible. So I'm just going to enjoy every single game. To be honest, I can't wait for the theme tune. I can't wait to go. I've got my Bayern Munich ticket. We beat Bayern Munich in the final very famously for Villa fans. So to have them up at Villa Park first, our first home game, is incredible. Our last ever game in the competition the year after, when we got knocked out in the quarterfinals, was against Juventus in a 2-legged game. So we've now got them at home as well in this run of 4 home games. I like the new structure of it as well. And then we also entertain Celtic, which is going to be an incredible night as well, like Battle of Britain type of thing. So couldn't have had a better draw, to be honest. And it's just, however long it lasts for, whether it's 1 season or 10, I'm just going to enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah, well, first of all, as I say, congratulations. And I think what you said at the start in terms of you managing to crack that, and that's probably the right word, crack that top 4. And it is tough. I mean, we as Everton fans, and you have probably counted yourself in those circles 1 or 2 seasons ago, we called them the cartel. You can't get anything off them. They run the Premier League. Whatever they say or do normally goes. I mean, you only have to see the latest accounts from Man United to just scratch your head and go, what's going on? We spoke off air about you having to sell Douglas Luiz and Diaby in the summer to just try and balance the books. And yet you've still got Man United splashing out 200, 300, 400 million, despite the fact they haven't qualified for the Champions League for a few years. So it's mind-boggling, really. But anyway, you're there, as you say, you're going to make the most of it. And I'm with you on this new format. I thought the draw was bizarre, by the way. I thought it was the maddest thing I've ever
The first
heard.
hour was really weird. Just get
It
into
was
the
weird.
draw. I want to say, just start drawing the teams. I don't want to hear the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was listening to it actually on the way to my daughter's football, and it was Gabby Agbonlahor was on there, and he just couldn't contain himself, with the excitement. But it just went on so long.
Yeah,
But the actual format of the games, I'm with you. I think it's really interesting and exciting, and the fact you've been drawn against some of the teams you have, and some of those teams, as you said, coming to Villa Park, which if it was in the old format, you'd maybe be being drawn against three teams. Bit of a flick of the coin whether you're going to get through, and it's over almost before it
yeah.
started. But I think that the chance to play more games and to be drawn against pretty much anyone, is exciting, and it'll be interesting to see how he's doing. I mean, I look at the teams you've drawn, and I guess not with the exception of Bayern Munich, I don't think there's anyone that you're going to play against that you won't fancy your chances against.
No, to be honest, not. I think if you want to play the sort of big sides, you'd hope to play them at home, and I think that's how it sort of worked out for us. So, Juventus coming to Villa Park, Bayern Munich coming to Villa Park, Celtic not so much as a sort of how good they are. I mean, that'll still be a test, definitely a test for us. But sort of the away games, Monaco, Young Boys, I think the away games we can get something out of, and because it's this 8 games we guarantee, and you've got to finish in the top 24 realistically. So only the bottom 8 teams are going to be sort of dispersed of in this first section. So I think it gives us a massive opportunity to at least get to a knockout. And if we can get through the first knockout, then you're into the last 16 of the Champions League. So I think it gives us a chance. We are a good side. We've evolved unbelievably over the last couple of years, and we are now taken very seriously, and I think we should be. I think we deserve to be taken very seriously. I think the manager and the way we're playing, the players we've got depth in the squad now. We've got almost 2 11s and quality all over the pitch. We've got players coming back, that we've been missing, for a while. Ramsey missed up most of last season. Buendia's back, Tyrone Mings is back training, Boubacar Kamara's back training. Carlos was out for a little bit, he's back training. So we've got pretty much not far off, pretty much not fully fit squad, because some of those are going to be a few weeks off being fully match fit. But I think the manager's the key factor in all of this. He's got so much experience in this competition, and he's done so well in it. Getting Villarreal to the semi-finals was an unbelievable achievement. So I think with him, the squad, and hopefully momentum behind us, we can not disgrace ourselves. I don't think we will, and we haven't gone into it to make the numbers up. We've gone into it to have a good crack at it.
Yeah, and best of luck to you. Best of luck to you with that. And I think just before we move on to obviously our game and the matters at hand here, the way you've performed against the top sides in the Premier League in particular, I think away from home and at home as well, you've very rarely been disgraced or plays off the park. Particularly, watch the Arsenal game a couple of weeks ago, and you're unfortunate there to not get something from that. And I think that's a good marker. The thing with the Premier League and the benefit you've got of the Premier League, as you well know, is the 2 or 3 teams at the top of our league are also 2 of the 3 best teams in Europe as well. They're all Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City are all going to be going to try and win that Champions League, and you've not finished too far behind them.
No, I totally agree. We played 3 league games this season, 1 at home against Arsenal, and we beat them home and away last season, Arsenal. And I would say we played better in that game the other week than we did in both the games last season, and we got nothing out of that. If we take one of our chances, which we created before they scored, I think we go on and win the game. So we know how to play these big games now against good sides. We set up very well, and he doesn't leave a stone unturned. Anybody that's remotely done any digging about Unai Emery, the bloke is just a machine when it comes to sitting and delving into tactics and teams, and they know every ounce of the pitch and every ounce of every team that they're playing against when they go out there. So it gives us the best opportunity, which has been seen in the results we've getting.
Definitely, and let's hope he's putting all that preparation into that young boys game already before the weekend. So,
Knowing him, he doesn't know. He goes every game. Next game is the only game that matters to him. I promise you.
And it's me holding on to a
Sorry.
bit of hope that maybe you've been preparing too much for Tuesday. Anyway, on to the game of the weekend. Again, we've had the international break. It really does my head in. You know, particularly this early in the season. I guess in your case, maybe it's something of a help, you know, as you go into Champions League fixtures. But looking at a lot of your squad, you know, they've been all over the place. You know, John Duran was playing really late into what it was a Tuesday night against Argentina, I think it was.
Yeah.
So you got players coming back from all over the place. What, you know, going into this weekend's game then, surely you must be feeling confident given the way that we've started the season.
I really like Everton. I'll just put that caveat in to start with. I've always had a real affiliation with Everton, and from my youth, really, it was Everton, Tottenham, Villa. You know, they were the big sides back in the day. Liverpool, obviously, back in the sort of 80s. So I really do like them. But I've got to say, I am very confident going into this game on Saturday. Yeah. You've had a bit of a shocker start to the season. No more so than the last game against Bournemouth, where you did play pretty well up to the 87th minute, I think it was. Yeah. But I think that just ties into what's going on at Everton at the moment. Nothing's going right for you, is it?
No.
And I think coming to Villa Park, obviously this is only our second home game this season, and we played, as I said, played well against Arsenal, didn't get the result we wanted, had two excellent away wins at two difficult places to go. So I can't be anything other than confident. I'm sorry. I think there is a part of me that fears a little bit for Everton on Saturday if we start really well and get a goal up early, and you know, and Everton sort of maybe crumble a little bit. I don't think that probably won't happen because of Sean Dyche and the way he sets teams up. We were talking on our pod, to be honest, and it's a difficult one for Dyche because the way he plays normally is a little bit sort of tight and hard and hard to beat. But coming off the back of 3 defeats, at some point they've got to throw a counter punch, haven't they? I think the fans want to see them on the front foot a little bit more and not just conceding possession, conceding goals. And you know, coming somewhere like Villa, I don't envy how he's going to sort of approach this game, because if he's damned if he's doing, he's damned if he doesn't. If he goes at it and thinks let's try and get something and take it to Villa, it could be a mauling. If he sits back and tries to keep it tight and nick something and we score early, then you got to think, okay, we've got to change tactics straight away and try and get something. So it's going to be a tough one for him, I think.
I mean, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind, and don't let there be any doubt in your minds as to how Sean Dyche is approaching this game. And he'll be looking to try and get away with a 0-0, maybe try and nick something off a set piece. But the clean sheet will be the only thing in his mind. How do I keep a clean sheet against this Villa team? And if we nick something, fine. But there's, as you're alluding to, then maybe throwing a punch. I'm a realist. You know, we're going to a good side here. We're going to a good side, as you say, of dispatched the two teams away from home. Have, you know, ran what I think could be the champions-elect this season very close. I think Arsenal will get it over the line this year, and you weren't far off that. You know, you're playing the Champions League game on Tuesday. That's where you are as a club. You know, you're up there. You'll be competing again this season. We're not there. I think, I'm not saying damage limitation. I'm not that negative about it, but I would very much be, you know, watching the clock this weekend, thinking, let's get through the first 20 minutes. Let's get through just markers, really. If we can get past half an hour, you know, there may be a tendency for, you know, some of your more, you know, your midfielders, attacking players to get a little bit further up the pitch and maybe leave some gaps on the counter. That's all we can hope for, honestly. I think maybe set plays, but, you know, you're a big side now as well. You know, in the past, that was maybe some way you could get available. You are a big side. So I don't think there are a lot of...
We're even bigger now. We've got Onana.
Yeah, that's another one. It's an absolute nap.
I'm sure we'll come on to it.
Yeah, I mean, that was literally the next on my list. So, you know, for us, and listen, I'm going to be honest with you now, Justin, before you wax lyrical about him, I think it was a good deal for us. I think it was a good deal for us. The reason I say so is that, as he's already, you know, been vocal about, he was not fitting in at Everton. He's not fitting in under this manager. No. We've made a profit on a player, which we've not done for quite some time. he is a player that's got a high ceiling, but he was never going to reach that ceiling at Everton. And equally, I think the longer we kept him, the more likely it was going to be that, you know, this value is going to go down under Sean Dyche's watch. So go on, give us your glowing report on him
I
so
think
far.
you're totally right on him, and a lot of Everton fans on social media that were being retweeted by Villa fans and have done since the first 3 games are sort of writing him off, saying, "Oh, he's not that good," blah 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 blah. But I think the issue at Everton was that he's a very very talented footballer. Was playing in a side that was struggling, and I think the manager wasn't the right manager to get the best out of him. And I think, you know, a lot of Premier League pundits, shall we say, and people that supposedly should know better, when we signed him, he was seen as a direct replacement for Douglas Luiz. And whilst he plays in the same position as Douglas Luiz, he's not a direct replacement for Douglas Luiz. He's a totally different style of player. And that was, in my opinion, a specific plan. It wasn't, we could have, for 50 million quid, we could have found, not a like for like, but we could have found a similar profile player to Douglas Luiz. But we didn't want that. Otherwise, we would have signed it. We wanted a player that would dominate. One thing we've lacked in the middle of the park a lot in those double pivot roles is physicality and size. And he brings that, but he's also a very, very good footballer as well. And having that ability coupled with his size at set pieces, as we saw the first game of the season, the first 5 minutes against West Ham away, Tielemans, he's compatriot, whips the ball in near post, bang, you know, nobody got anywhere near the lads, and they're not going to, you know. And one of our real plus points is set pieces. We were very good at set pieces, defending the man and attacking them. And to have a player like that in, he's a set piece, you know, coach's dream, you know.
Yeah.
But he's impressed me with everything. His all-round game is excellent. You know, I do think it's helped that Tielemans is in the team. You know, because Louise has gone and Kamara's injured, we have had to replace that double pivot, and they are 2 excellent players that have done us proud over the last sort of couple of years. But the best thing I can say is we haven't missed either of them at all, because Tielemans has been outstanding, and I tipped him at the start of the season to be our player of the season, and he's been excellent in all 3 games. So to have him next to Onana, who play international football together, I think it's really helped Onana settle in, and the fans have taken to him straight away. It helps you score 2 goals in your first 2 away games, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't speak highly enough of him. I'm looking forward to seeing him over a full season when you can properly, you know, take the whole overview of his whole season. And in the Champions League, it's going to be very interesting how he sort of squares up against the best. You know, when we play the likes of Bayern Munich and Juventus, we might even be playing up against Douglas Luiz, you know, so that'll be an interesting one. But yeah, for me, his age, his size, his physicality, his ability, I think it's looking a bit of a snip at the moment.
Yeah, and you know what I will say, whilst it was good business for us, and I think it was a good deal for all parties involved. It's very rare you see that in football. As in, Onana was happy to go. You guys are obviously getting what could and will be a top player, I'm sure, and we were getting money we needed and also money for an asset that we were not getting the most of. What we did kind of get partly in return for that deal, and that was a bit of one involving one of our youngsters as well, was Tim Iroegbunam. Now, I must admit, when he come in, I thought, oh, what's going on here? We've just been given this cast off. The kid's a player. I mean, I was really surprised, and for us, you know, you just said maybe so far he's been up there, you know, Onana is one of your best players in the first few games. Tim Iroegbunam's been outstanding for us. Yeah, at times he shows his immaturity, you know, when he's a bit too keen to play when it's not on and stuff like that. But his aggression, his athleticism, and his sheer enthusiasm has just been a breath of fresh air in a midfield for us that's had like the likes of Ghana Gay, obviously really old, tired, you know, Decore again, leggy, but doesn't quite really, you know, have the speed and the agility of you know, young Iroegbunam. But again, I don't know how much you've seen of him, Philip, but he's been brilliant for us so far.
Saw a lot of him, to be honest. You know, he came in to us from West Brom. We've sort of hijacked quite a few players from their academy because we nicked their academy coach. So a lot of their best players, we've sort of nipped them across the city to us. And a player I saw a lot of, because I do go down and watch the 21s quite a lot at Bodymoor Heath, and he's a player that quickly impressed the coaches at Villa and broke into the sort of training of the first team squad quite early on, and he was one of the players that was earmarked to break through into the sort of first team. And we saw it a bit last season. I think the writing was on the wall for him as a sort of a regular player for Villa last season, when we had so many injuries in our midfield. We were literally losing one a week at one point, and he never really got a run in the team. There was times when we all, even like certain weekends when we were missing 4 or 5 centre midfielders, and we all kept on the pod. We were saying, right, okay, I think Tim's going to get thrown in here. You know, he deserves a run, and he was getting sort of 10, 15 minutes at the end of games. So I think it became quickly apparent that not that I don't think Unai rated him, but I don't think he's probably a victim of our success, if I'm honest. If we were a sort of mid-table Premier League side, I think he would have been getting a lot more minutes for us. The fact we were mixing it in the top 4 and now Champions League, I think that's probably why he was seen as somebody we could afford to let go. But I am absolutely over the moon for the kid, because he deserves to be playing regular football, and he deserves a chance to show that he can play in the Premier League. And at Everton currently, with where you currently sit, I think it's the perfect club for him. And I think he's shown that straight away. I think maybe he might tire a bit as the season goes on, because he's not used to that relentless nature. But that's not to say he's not a good footballer. You've said it yourself. You've seen it with your own eyes. You know, he's a good footballer. He gets up and down. He's got good vision. He's decent in the air. You know, he likes to tackle. So he's got all the attributes to make it as a solid Premier League midfielder. Will he ever become a top 4 Premier League midfielder? I don't think so. And we had the same problem with Cameron Archer, who broke through and looked a real threat and a real player. And again, I think he's another one that's a victim of us going on to be, you know, top 4, sort of challenging, that he hasn't quite got that top level ability, which is why he was another one that was allowed to sort of slip away. But fair play to the kid. He's a good lad. He's a good footballer. And I think he'll do well for you over the season and over the next few years.
Yeah, we're delighted with him anyway. And again, fingers crossed he can keep this up. Couple of players to touch on before we kind of talk about predictions, etc. I mean, I mentioned briefly then Lewis Dobbin. That was a bizarre one, by the way. He's gone out on loan to West Brom already.
Albion, yeah.
I said so many times on our podcast last season that he's not a Premier League footballer for me, not by some distance. Now, again, like you want to see young players do well. And I said, look, I'd love for him to go out on loan and prove that. And he's had a couple of loans. It was a weird PSR little deal, that wasn't it? To just get money for homegrown players.
Yeah, they suddenly started sprouting up, didn't they? These deals. We signed 2 from Juventus. We let Luiz go for 50 odd million, and then all of a sudden we'd signed 2 players off them, Ealing Junior and Enzo Barranchella. And they've both now gone out on loan. Lewis Dobbin, I spoke to your compatriot on the pod when we signed. When we signed Onana and you signed Iroegbunam, we touched on Dobbin, and I think his opinion was that he's a decent player, but I think it's the right move a lot to shift them on and give them full season playing in the Championship, because then you can properly assess them, and if they come back, if they've had a really flyer, then you reintegrate them into the squad, don't you? But yeah, weird dealings, wasn't they? But I think we've helped you out. We've scratched your back.
Oh yeah, you have, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We'll just shake hands and walk off into the distance.
Yeah. Last player I want to touch on, and he's another young player, but obviously a player that he did pay decent money for, but he's certainly jumped off the page, so to speak, the end of last season and the start of the season, and that's Morgan Rogers. I mean, he got the attention of everyone, in particular in that game against Arsenal, where he ran the show against a very good midfield. How excited are you about the way he's playing and how he's took that on?
Well, it's a real weird one, Morgan Rogers. We signed him from Middlesbrough for, I think it was £8 million. And I watched him.
More than that, wasn't it? Rising to quite a bit.
I think there is add-ons and bits and bobs to go up to it, but I think the initial fee was just under 10. And I watched Middlesbrough podcast saying, we've robbed Villa with £8 million. I think they signed him for $1 million or $2 million from City in the summer, and we nicked him off them in 6 months or something. And when his first appearance for Villa, he came off the bench and he looked a little bit of a fish out of water, to be honest. His touch wasn't that great. And I remember saying on the pod, I don't know, I don't see enough of him. I didn't watch him from Middlesbrough. I don't know much about him. I don't know where he plays. I was looking at, does he play up front? Does he play in the 10? Does he play out wide? Is he a winger? Is he a 6? Can he play centre mid? And I think I was a little bit sceptical. That was a brutally honest assessment after seeing him a couple of times, which you shouldn't really do. I get that. And then as the season as the season started to progress, and then we had all these injuries. The main one that gave him the real in was Jacob Ramsey's injury, and he sort of came in, and there wasn't really anybody to push him then once he got in. And I always think that young players coming up to the Premier League, whether you're through the ranks of your team, so whether you're through the youth team or you come from a lower league team, that you have to get to that point where you feel you belong in the first team and in the Premier League. And I think there was a lot of stuff going around Villa saying that Unai Emery used to call him a championship player in training. Oh, you're just a championship player, Morgan. That's all you are, a championship player. But now that's decent psychology, because I think that gave him that spur to go, I'm not a championship player. I am good enough to play in this division. And then he just got better and better and better. And he had a brilliant end to the season. He had a really good pre-season, which again, how much you'd really take pre-season. I've seen players have brilliant pre-season and be absolutely dreadful in the season. But he did, and he took that form into the start of the season. And that Arsenal game was just eye-opening. I sat in the stands and I watched him destroy Declan Rice and Thomas Partey, to the point where I think I said afterwards, I am going to enjoy this season watching him just run past people and then literally trying to drag him down. And they can't, because not only is he a really technically gifted, talented attacker, but he's built like a centre midfielder. He's built like a holding centre midfielder, so that they just can't get. He's got pace. He knocks ball past people, and he just runs past them, and they can't stop him. Yeah. He's added goals, assists. He went on the under-20. We was all shocked, to be honest, that Kazi didn't pick him in the.
I was
full England team, because he had because he had him in the 21s. But I think the show we put on the other day for the 21s, I tweeted actually after I said that's the last time you're going to see him in the 21s. Scored twice. Honestly, that looking at him now, it's scary now how good he could be this season. And I think we've seen this. The players that really took us on last season, Leon Bailey was unbelievable. Ollie Watkins was unbelievable. Pau Torres, Ezri Konsa. We had some phenomenal performers last season that took us into the top 4. But this season, there seems to be a new batch that are breaking through. Players that we've had for a while, some of them, but players that, are coming through as young kids. And, Duran, Morgan Rogers is one of them. Luca Dina, we thought for the last 2 summers would be moving on. He's had a brilliant start to the season. So I think there's, Nedeljkovic, you don't probably know much about him. Our right back we signed last year in the window. He played, I think, his first ever international start the other day, and he kept Nico Williams in his back pocket, and he's an 18-year-old, So there's these players, Tielemans, they're just going up levels now. So those are the players that are our squad players, so that are now becoming, very, very important first team players. But he's a scary prospect. He's Morgan Rogers.
You're killing me, Justin. You're killing me. Sorry. So go on then. Give us. Let us know what we can. I mean, apart from what you've already said, a comfortable afternoon. Let us know what we can expect in terms of the lineup and your position.
I think there's the question mark. I have a couple of players from we had obviously Ollie Watkins, who withdrew from the England squad before they trained at all. We still don't know what that was or is, or whether it was just precautionary, whether it had a little pull. Be interesting to hear the press conference tomorrow, what he says with that. And Ezri Konsa also pulled up in the England game the other night as well. By all accounts and reports, I think he's okay, but we'll know more again tomorrow. But I think it's going to be. I mean, Matty Cash is injured, and we saw young Lamar Bogard, who's the nephew of Winston Bogard, who's broke through our reserve team. So he looks a good prospect. So it'll be him or Nedeljkovic at right back. I mean, we've got Ian Matson, who hasn't really started for us yet, who looks an unbelievable prospect, but Luca
Yeah.
Dean's keeping him out. So I think he'll probably retain his position. Pau Torres starts, and then it'll either be Conso or probably Diego Carlos, who's back in training again. Hopefully Conso's okay. Keeper picks himself, world's number one, obviously, best keeper in the world. And then Onana and Tielemans will sit in front of the back four. And then I think Rodgers starts, John McGinn starts. Leon Bailey's injured, so I think it'll probably be Jacob Ramsey, if I've got to guess. It might be a bit of a switch up with those three in behind. And again, if Watkins doesn't make it, then we've got John Duran, who's been I don't know if you know much about John Duran, but that lad is he's just an enigma at Villa. You know,
He's an absolute beast.
He is. I think a lot of Villa fans, they always say when he comes off the bench, he's either going to get sent off for 2-footing someone in 30 seconds,
or
he's going to blast one in the top corner from 35 yards out. But, you know, he had a very up and down season last year. Lots of off the field stuff that was going on, and which, you know, led to lots and lots of heavy rumours that he was going to be shifted on. And by all accounts, lots of people, I think our technical director said this week, there's 40 teams after him. And Villa had set a price for him, and nobody met that price. And by all accounts, if they had,
still Monkey, is it?
Monchi, yeah. Damien Vidigali and Monchi sort of look after our off-the-field business football side of things. But he's been retained. By all accounts, he's settled back in. He's got his head down, and he's an animal. He's a proper animal up front. You know. I think I heard a few people saying there isn't many teams in the Premier League that've got two proper out-and-out centre forwards where you can maybe, you know, switch and change them, and we are one of them that carry two real threats up top. So I'm sorry, but one of them will play.
Again, you're killing me. You're absolutely killing me. So go on, let's finish.
You're not going to put this podcast out, are you? You're just going to cry in the corner after.
Let's finish with the most painful bit then. Go on, Justin, give us your prediction.
I've got to be fair, because I've got to say the same as what I said on our podcast. I said 4-0 Villa. Sorry.
Listen, that's fair enough. I won't be far behind you. I'm going to say it on our own podcast that I'm going to go 2-0 Villa. I do think we'll keep you out a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a bit more resilience about the team this week. I mean, not that there wasn't for 87 minutes against Bournemouth, but as you said, we all know what happens after that. But I do think we'll see a little bit more from the team, and I think we'll at least get to the 60th minute. I think once you score one and get the second, you'll probably ring some changes and maybe take some of the players out that he wants to field on Tuesday. But I don't think you'll see too much coming back the other way in terms of the counter punches that you referred to at the start, unfortunately for us. But you know what?
Who do you see as who's your biggest threat for us? Who's the player on Saturday that if he turns up, it gives you a chance?
Do you mean for Everton?
For Everton,
the player we need to.
Who was that? If he turns up and has a brilliant game, it gives you the chance.
I'd have to go with the centre back pairing, because we're going to have to defend so resiliently. You know, it sounds a bit bizarre that to say, like, you know, the two centre backs need to play well to give us a chance, but I think we need a platform. We need a decent platform. I do think we can get a goal from somewhere. I mean, any team in the Premier League can get a goal.
Keep many clean sheets, Judgy, honestly. That's one of the things that we've got to improve on. We don't keep clean sheets. I said it on our pod, and I said 4-0. I said I'd be as happy with the 0 as I would be with the 4, because we've got to start keeping clean sheets.
That was the one thing. That's the one I think blotch on Onana's sheet, if you like. I don't think he's, despite his athleticism and his recovery tackles that he does very, very well, his position at times can go. It can be found wanting, and his positions at set plays he can go asleep, despite again his size. But it's track and runners and stuff. And I think in the Champions League, particularly against the likes of Bayern, you might find that at times he'll kind of he'll go missing a little bit. But and I'm hoping to see a little bit of emotion from him in the side. He's another player who can get carried away with the occasion. I'm not saying that Saturday's a huge occasion, but he'll be really keen to stand out against his ex-teammates and to probably show himself. So I think that actually could be one of the areas where I think Dyche will probably be looking at ways to get at him a little bit. I think Iliman Ndiaye will start on Saturday night, and he was outstanding against Bournemouth, and he kind of drops into that little pocket number 10 almost, and he will be in that position, I guess, where Onana and Tielemans will be occupying. So it'd be interesting to see, how that plays out. I mean, if he doesn't play Ndiaye, it could be a very long afternoon if he plays Doucouré again. Doucouré looks like his legs have well and truly gone. I think they've been on the way for quite some time. But I mean, look, Calvert-Lewin, despite the fact he doesn't look the player he was, the way he's showing up against Liverpool at Goodison last season, you never know with him. He's still got the pace to get him behind the back four. His finishing is just, is not good enough at times. But again, you never know. You could put a ball in behind. I think he's quick enough to get on the ends of most things. So, look, there's always things to always hope you can cling to. But you look at the different ways that you can score goals versus we probably got 2 or 3 ways at the most that we can score. You've got so many individuals and so many different.
What's that? Corners, free kicks, and throw-ins.
I was just going to say set plays and the ball.
You said 2 or 3. I was trying to think of 3. Yeah.
I was going to say set plays. Even crosses were from poor, to be honest. Set plays and in behind is probably all you got to. And I guess that's the thing. You're going to be pushing so high up the pitch, I think, as the game goes on, to just keep us pens in there. You have got quick centre backs, by the way, but I think he may be able to give Pau Torres a little bit of a run for his money. Maybe not on the other side though. But yeah, look, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough afternoon for us. There's no doubt about that. I do believe if we can get past, the 30-minute mark, we give ourselves a chance. I think if there's any goals from you in the first 30 minutes, though, 4-0 would probably be a flattering scoreline for us, I'd imagine. But anyway, Justin, it hasn't been such a pleasure listening to how great your depth is and how your array of talent that you've got across the pitch. Hoping it'll be a little bit better to watch at the weekend. But as always, it's a pleasure speaking to you, mate.
Absolutely love it, mate. Respect to Everton. Not on Saturday, obviously, but for the rest of the season.
As always, mate. And I believe you'll be catching up with Millsy for a post-match reaction.
Yes,
again, that's what I said to Mills. Yeah, so I'm definitely doing the pre-match with Villa. There's not a chance I'm sitting and listening to him on Sunday. But for anyone who's watching this, Evertonians, Villa fans, we will be catching up, or Millsy in my place will be catching up on Sunday for a post-match reaction. So yeah, I'll hopefully look forward to watching that. But yeah, time will tell. Anyway, Justin, thanks a lot, mate. Enjoy your weekend.
No problem. Anytime, mate. And you.
Stop, man. Cheers.